After the new Godzilla film, there really was not much else to watch this winter, and it's actually beginning to look like a downward trend for the industry overall. Just because of the strikes alone from the writers and the actors last year, I think we probably lost about 6 to 8 months of production, with light estimates there. So, in this year, you should expect to see a ton of films coming back that were already released before, just to fill gaps and voids in between very boring, dull movies and having absolutely nothing to put out into the release slate at all. Godzilla was great. Um, I loved its set design, which I thought was very clever, and it actually looks better than films with the same character that have much higher budgets. But this one was made off $15 million, which is ludicrous in today's standards. And surprisingly, it actually got a Best Visual Effects nomination at the 96th Most Dreaded Academy Awards rerun. But the biggest success of this film was grossing over $106 million worldwide and becoming the highest grossing Japanese film in America of all time. And the way that it took its characters and made you really care about them in the story far more than most other Godzilla movies I've ever seen. I'm more than happy to watch people get flattened and trampled by exciting giant monsters, but this one actually took characters that really forced me to care about and then threw them under this beast and completely changes your perspective going in. I think far and away there was absolutely nothing that even closely compares to Godzilla this winter. Aquaturd got flushed and flopped. Nobody's really coming to see the Marvels at all. That one flopped. There really hasn't been any spectacular film or even a half decent film that could swoop in and really take advantage of all this dead weight. Because the strike's leaving so much room, one would assume naturally that opportunities would be taken. And a lot of these opportunities have not been taken. For example, Apple, even though the film was great, I reviewed it some months ago, they spent over $200 million to put out Killers of the Flower Moon, which made next to nothing in comparison. It definitely did make its money back. But then, right on the heels of that, a couple months later, Apple's dropping a $200 million Matthew Vaughn movie. It's probably it's definitely his worst film that he's ever made, in Argylle. It was just kind of very empty, cliched, annoying, and the entire second act was completely devoid of any plot development, and the characterization was just kind of stupid, in my opinion. Spending so much time getting us to like Bryce Dallas Howard's author just to turn her into, the Agent Argylle and making the answer to who is the agent, it was within you all along, yada yada, same old tropes. That was kind of dumb. And there were some sequences that were straight up plagiarized from James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie, which is just not the movie you want to plagiarize from in the first place. Like, if you're going to steal something, steal from a good movie. But no, I'm not sure what the design exactly was. There's tongue-in-cheek references to Kingsman in the mid-credits scene. So, I mean, I guess, but it's not exactly drumming up any interest. the much more interesting plot thread people are waiting to have fulfilled is the end of the last Kingsman film. They were going back to the World Wars and hinting at a Hitler solo movie. So I'm not sure what this detour is, but Apple wasted another $200 million on something that's not even going to see half of that come back. So they have the money for it, but if they keep going, they're not going to have the money for it. It's just kind of a sinking ship at that point, and you wonder how many more times they're going to put out high budget theatrical films if no one's going to go see them. So the ground is pretty much shrinking beneath most of these studios' feet. Warner Brothers is a complete wreck. They don't know what to do with their DC franchise at all. It's a complete smoldering bush right now. Disney's losing a ton of favor, and they've had a string of flops, which is unusual for them. The past 7 or 8 years, they've been raking in ridiculous cash, so to see them start to go into the red is actually more concerning than some of these other studios. Even the indie ones, A24, they put out some good things last year, but they're not exactly smashing the bank. So when one looks for stability, one should not be looking at the film industry for a while. Some of the upcoming re-releases, we're going to get The Phantom Menace in theaters again this May, which is honestly one of the biggest shocks of the year because it's May 4th. So every single year, Marvel would have some movie to stick in the first week of May. It was their territory. But as I look now, I'm not seeing anything. There are movies that will be out at that point. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Garfield, Fall Guy, Mad Max spinoff. But yeah, not seeing a Marvel movie ready and waiting for the first week of May is a sign of the times. Because they absolutely always have something, even if it's complete garbage. They always have at least something that they can throw into that slot. And I'm not seeing anything there. So what happens when you don't have re-releasing films like Dune and Star Wars and Tenet, Labyrinth probably at some point, Blazing Saddles, like all these classic movies coming in. My Fair Lady was recent. The problem is you get things like ISS. So it's a very hit and miss, 50-50 kind of dumb movie where the premise is completely shattered by the catalyst. So the catalyst being that nuclear war occurs on Earth and the whole thing's pretty much burning up anyway. So at that point, once that happens, you don't really care about anyone or anything going on in the International Space Station when internationally most people are already dead anyway and the Earth is in ruins. And there's no indication that anyone would be able to feasibly survive underground long enough to be able to brave the fallout. So ironically, ISS had a lot of the similar themes to Godzilla. It just didn't have half of the brain power and wit to go into it. And Argylle wasn't really any better. Just very standard, silly, empty spy rom-com. And besides basic, easy action favorites like Equalizer 3, The Beekeeper, let's be honest, those are just filler films. Wonka was kind of a corporate dung fest. I know a lot of people are kind of gravitating towards its songs and its attempts at humor, but it was honestly very dry and lifeless and very corporate for me personally. Just wasn't very enjoyable. So where does this leave things? Not in great spots, but the Penguin Show for spinning off of the Batman from Matt Reeves. It is finished filming, finally, after multiple delays from the strikes. So at least something interesting will be coming out of HBO Max. Too many streamers are raising their prices anyway, though, so we might see some kind of epic fallout from that this year or next. I wouldn't be shocked. A lot of subscribers are turned off by business practices recently and just by the raising the prices and shutting everyone out from sharing their account with their friends and family. That's probably the biggest kick right now, is that Netflix is upping its security. Disney's starting to send emails saying they're going to kick people out. Hulu is restricted how many people can use the app now and how many people can sign into the same account, even though they offer like 25 profiles on all these streaming services. They apparently don't want you to use them. So another round of corporate greed. But yeah, in terms of cinematic excitement this year, it's a lot lower than it was last year. We do have Dune Part 2 coming up. Yeah, some people are excited for that one. And Part 1 wasn't bad. Yeah, so far, Night Swim. Nobody cares about that. Now, The Underdoggs. That one was a little more 50-50. It actually got pulled from a theatrical release and put onto Prime straight. So I guess they did not have the same confidence that Good Boys had. It was funny, but I definitely understand why it's not exactly going to win any Oscars for Best Screenplay. Now, something this year that does look pretty interesting. So Joker 2 is coming out this October, which will be very fascinating to see if it's quite as good financially and in terms of script as the first one. The rumors and reports of it being a musical are greatly enthusing some and terrifying others, putting others on the fence. It's tough because the only way to really follow up that first film would naturally be to try and do something different, right? Or to try and find a way to go crazier. So what crazier possible genre could you go for than a musical? Like, in some ways, it's perfect. So hopefully Todd Phillips knows what he's doing. Hopefully he put together a good script before going out. Because if there is a Joker movie like that, first one that's made just for the money, when the first one was made purely out of passion, it would ruin the whole thing. And also coming this or next year, I can't remember which, is the HBO Max's take on the Harry Potter series. They're developing that now. So, yeah, Harry Potter reboot, since nobody wanted to support Fantastic Beasts after they fired an abuse victim. So there's that. Yep, there's Dune Part 2, Joker 2. Apparently there's a day one for Quiet Place. There's a Mad Max spinoff. Now the animated Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim. That one looks very interesting. It's going to be in December, 130 minutes. The untold story behind Helm's Deep, hundreds of years before the fateful war, telling the life and blood-soaked times of its founder, Helm Hammerhand, the King of Rohan. There's Deadpool 3, and then a Robert Pattinson Mickey 17. Despicable Me 4, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, Beetlejuice sequel coming in September. That looks absolutely insane that they're making another one. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, If, Craven, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. There's another Wicked movie. The Fall Guy, Kung Fu Panda 4. That one looks absolutely spectacular. Gladiator 2. Which is very interesting because that could either be terrible or amazing. It's another Sonic movie, Nosferatu, another Transformers movie, Garfield, Inside Out 2. Apparently there's a Mufasa movie, Godzilla and Kong, New Empire. I'm pretty sure that Fantastic Beasts 4 got canceled. And there are rumors of Sherlock Holmes 3, but nothing has been done yet. There isn't even a script, so yeah. Some things coming out. Mostly it's a dead year, though. So we'll see how the content affects everything going forward. But coming up, there will be reviews on Lisa Frankenstein. I already covered the 3 films I've seen most recently. ISS, Underdoggs, Argylle, and then some months ago I never got around to putting the word out on Godzilla Minus One, which I should have done much sooner because it's a spectacular film. But overall, this is just kind of a short catch-up episode, getting some things off my chest. As right now I'm working on the finale for season 3. For season 2 of Gonzo Film Reviews, and be kicking off season 3 once I do a review of Baldur's Gate 3. So, looking for some smooth sailing, hoping for some heavy hitters this year. A lot of last year's highly anticipated films that I was listing at the beginning of the year, they did not turn out as well as I hoped. Napoleon, probably chief among them. It's my biggest letdown of 2023. Just a film I expected to be so much better and was so much worse than it could have been. But yeah, no, so far, the beginning of 2024 has been, the road has been paved with mediocrity and boredom and empty second acts and stupid characterizations. So hopefully things get a little more exciting and interesting and worthwhile and worth reviewing coming up. I couldn't dedicate a single episode to any of those films. It's just not worth the time, honestly, to do one individual one. ISS, honestly, I could cap that off in 3 minutes, and it'd be my shortest episode ever. But starting with Dune 2, hopefully things kind of pick up steam a little bit, and I hope some of these art house films that come out this year are less disappointing than they were last year. And hopefully this can also be a year where we celebrate some fun movies of the past, since nothing good is coming out. It's better than going and watching garbage. If any Phantom Menace fans, Star Wars Phantom Menace is coming out on May 4th. Go celebrate Star Wars, since nothing's been coming out for the brand that's been any good for the past 10 years or so. Interstellar, hopefully we get a 10th anniversary release this fall in IMAX. That would be glorious. And yeah, just keep an eye out for all those smaller theaters too. They'll be doing a lot more reruns of classic films. Just keep your eyes peeled, because even if it's a down year for films in terms of sheer content, hopefully it's made up for by the quality of the content that is dropped, and hopefully there will still be some exciting developments that we can all talk about coming down the pike. Because Jimmy Kimmel snoozing through another murderous Oscar ceremony where everybody's participating in a whaling contest honestly sounds like a less enjoyable evening than my own hanging. So I will look up who wins the awards after the awards are won. And maybe I'll break down who should have won, who got snubbed, because every year everybody gets snubbed anyway. So we'll look down the list the next day and see how much crack the voters are on this year. Yeah, the Oscars is the Cinephile Super Bowl, with none of the excitement. But yeah, this one's it's more of a short catch-up one. Haven't done one in a while, so figured I would just come back, dump some thoughts, and let you know what I'm looking forward to this year, and my concerns for this year in terms of film. And in the next few weeks, you should expect to see more reviews of little things coming out here and there. The soonest will probably be One Love by Bob Marley, and followed by Dune 2. And I might do a recap on Dune 1 while I'm at it, because I don't remember ever doing an episode on that one. So yeah, hope everybody's safe and happy and just having a good night. Peace.